Hello and welcome along to the Panto podcast. This week my guest is Kerry Dupree. Kerry tells me how a fancy dress party started a career path, spending time with Danny LaRue, and how he became Dupree. So please, sit back and enjoy the latest Panto podcast. My guest for today's Panto podcast is Kerry Dupree. Hello.
Hello.
Beautiful house.
Thank you very much.
And we're in your, which room would you call this?
Well, we call it my upstairs lounge. It was originally my office, and we found everybody sort of spent time here, even though it's quite a large house. Everyone seemed to congregate here in the end, any parties or anything like that. And it's such a nice room that we thought, well, so we relocated my office downstairs, but we kept all the theatrical posters on the walls, but turned it into an upstairs lounge. So, yeah, it's quite a nice room.
And just the amount of work that you've done over the years is incredible.
Yes, I mean, I've, touch wood, constantly worked since I started. Not always in, the greatest shows or the greatest venues, but I've always worked because I panic. I'm a big panicker, and this is the longest time that I've not worked for, 23 weeks, not that I'm counting. Yeah, this is long. It's going to be, the way things are going, it'll almost be a year, I'm guessing, before we do anything of any substance. You may pick up the odd gig here or there, the odd cabaret or the odd something, but certainly no pantomime. Well, not for me anyway, and for thousands of others. But yeah, I've done a lot of work in the 38 years, yeah.
So what got you started then? Okay.
I've told this story many times. I went to a fancy dress party, which I hate fancy dress parties because I do it all the time. I dress up all the time. And it was in the 80s, very early 80s, and I went as Gladys Pugh from Heidi High. I didn't have an outfit, and we were in a supermarket with my mum, and she knew the lady that was doing a promotion on Stalk SV margarine, and she said, could Kerry borrow the yellow jacket? And she said, you can have it. I finished. So my mother trimmed it in blue, got the outfit together, went to the nightclub, won first prize, got up on stage with the DJ, called me the winner. I'd had a few drinks. The DJ was a bit gobby, and I thought, right. And he handed me the microphone, and I launched into Gladys Pugh. Everyone was laughing. We were in Wales. It was topical, so I thought, right, I'm on a winner here. And I thought, I could do that. I could do this in the clubs. Even though I wanted to be a costume designer, I was always designing costumes and sets and everything. But my dad was a cabaret singer, and he said, look, I can contact some clubs, try and get you some gigs. And I did, a little show. I wasn't dressed up fully in drag. I would come on in the second half. First half in a suit, doing impersonations of various people, and the second half I did Gladys Pugh. And because it was so, again, topical Welsh, you were in the clubs, the rugby clubs, they loved it. And then I put in Shirley Bassey, and then I got asked to do a little summer show in Porthcawl, and I needed to do 3, so I attempted to do Tina Turner, which was not very good at the time, but I got away with it. And then it was the wrong song, I just picked the wrong song. And then I just started doing shows, and different added impersonations to them as I went along. And then a friend of mine, a Welsh actor called Desmond Barrett, said, you should go to London. He said, they have a lot of acts there, a lot of drag acts there, but they all mime, and you're performing live. That's something different. I didn't know. I'd only seen television. I'd seen Stanley Baxter, Dick Emery, Danny Rue. I'd never seen any drag acts on stage, live, as it were. And I moved to London in 1984, 85. Started working in London, got a job at Madame Jojo's in Soho. I was there for 2 years. And then I got asked to do a pantomime from there, and then a summer season in Blackpool in 1990 or 91, and anyway, so it went from there. But it really sort of started with, I mean, I could say it started in school, which it does for lots of performers, impersonating teachers and being the class comedian and all that. They're all cliches, but I mean, I was the class comedian and this, that, and the other. But really, when I finally got that, if you want, light bulb moment, was Gladys Pugh. And I'm still doing her in the show now. I mean, I did take her out for a long time, because I thought, oh, this is old hat, And I used to do Sue Pollard as well. We dropped her completely. And then, I don't know, I got asked to do this charity event for Wales, for breast cancer for Wales. And I wanted to do all Welsh, so I needed 5. So it was like Mary Hopkins, Shirley Bassey, Dorothy Squires. I think I did Bonnie Tyler. And then I thought, I'll have to do Gladys. Sounds awful, have to. I did it. And out of the 5, she just stormed it again. And I rewrote it, the script. And now it's gone from a 5-minute routine to like a 30-minute routine. And they were, and not just in Wales, all over the country. Right up north, in Newcastle, they love Gladys. Absolutely love it. So I thank Ruth Maddock for that wonderful character.
Have you ever performed it for Ruth?
I have. Or not for her. It was a charity event. And she was in the audience. We knew she was in the audience, and I came on as Gladys, and she interrupted me. It was all sort of preset, and she came up on stage. I don't talk like that. Yes, you do. No, I don't. We do this banter back and forth, and it went really well. I've done a couple of charity events with her since where I've turned up as Gladys, and so is she. But I would love to do pantomime with her. That's something that I've never done. I would love her to play the fairy, Fairy Pugh or something, and I'm playing the dame, and there's got to be where 2 Gladyses meet or something and do a routine in Welsh pantomime one year. It's got to happen.
Producers who are listening,
yes.
Take note.
It would be great, to because they still, even youngsters who do not remember Heidi High or Gladys, they still like the character. And this has been my argument with a lot of my shows. People say, well, some of it, who remembers Zsa Zsa Gabor? And I said, well, some people do, and those that don't, as long as they laugh, I don't care who I'm doing. I remember doing a show once in a theatre, and it was hadn't sold very well at all. We'd only sold about 100 and odd tickets. And they gave 300 tickets away to the local university. So I had all these students. I thought, oh, God, they're going to love Mae West and da-da-da. But as long as you set it up, so you say Mae West was the sort of like Bette Midler of her day, the Joan Rivers before Joan Rivers there was Mae West, and they were laughing. And same with Zsa Zsa Gabor. I said she's Hungarian, blonde. She holds the record for the most marriages in show business in America. 9 husbands, not Liz Taylor. She had 8. Zsa Zsa had 9. As long as you set it up, then you do the gags, and they're laughing. It's like Nana Mouskouri, If you remember her, great, she was a Greek singer. If you don't, all they're seeing is this Greek lady, folk singer, with big black glasses on, middle part in horrible flat hair, singing these songs, and they're laughing. As long as you set it up. As long as they laugh, I don't care what I'm doing, But, and then, of course, you've got ones that everybody knows. They're still university. You've got Cher, Tina Turner, Joan Collins, 87, and she's still known throughout the world. And even people like Marilyn Monroe, because she's so iconic. She's like Elvis and Princess Diana. People know her. And then other people that people don't know, like Bjork. My father doesn't know who Bjork was, but that's his favourite. He loves her. He says, who is she? I said, well, she's this sort of, singer from Iceland or whatever, And he said, oh, I love her. It's great. Don't know who she is. It's funny. That's the thing. As long as they laugh. Everybody knows Tina Turner and people like that. Then other people only have a short shelf life, like Vera Duckworth or Angie from EastEnders, or Samantha Fox. When she brought a record out, she had a hit with a song called "Touch Me." Can you believe? Touch me now. I want to feel your body. We did that. That was topical. Then it doesn't. It goes away. It's weird. It's weird.
Who's in your sights now to impersonate?
Well, we were going to do Adele. And then she lost all that weight. I mean, she looks fabulous, but I thought she looked fabulous before, really, you know. It's her life. She can do with it what she wants. People have been knocking her. She can do what she likes, you know. But so we're not going to do that. Then we thought we might do Billie Eilish. But we'll see. The Bond theme, and I don't know. She looks a fright. So green streak and all that, you know. So, and she's very, you know. So there's comedy potential there. So she might be the next one. Yeah, the last one I did was would you believe Cilla Black? And I mean, Cilla's been dead what, 5-6 years, but people still remember her with affection. So it goes down. I didn't know it was going to go down, and it goes down well. I mean, we've done some, and they've just not worked. We've tried and tried and tried with Kylie Minogue. Just whichever way, it's not worked. Just fallen flat. And after about 15 or 20 times of doing it, you think, no, this is not going to work. It's not working. So we just cut it.
You mentioned earlier about Dad giving you some help with the business.
Yeah.
So what was Dad doing?
He's a singer, cabaret singer, only in clubs, mainly Wales. I mean, he would go away occasionally and do 5-night runs up in the Midlands or something like that, but it was mainly Wales. But he could work. There was so much cabaret then. My father could work 5 nights a week, you know, singing. My mother was a singer, but she retired. She was an opera singer. She met my father, and they got married, and you know, but yeah, and my sister's also in show business as well. But yeah, and people say, oh well, you were bound to go into it, and I just think, no, just because your parents do it doesn't mean you're going to do it. You either do it, you either in you, or it's not. You know, I don't think that just because your parents do, you know, your parents could be a butcher, and you're not necessarily going to be a butcher, are you? I mean, if you are around theatrical people, maybe you get a vibe, but it's in you to be a performer. I don't know. I don't think it rubs off, if you know what I mean.
And at school,
yeah,
you said you were kind of class clown.
Yeah.
What kind of things were you doing for your friends then?
Well, you know, I didn't like school. I hated it. I liked the drama lessons. I liked art, and I liked English literature. That was about it. Everything else I detested, you know. And you know, when you're young, you're so cocky. And what do I want to go to geography for? I don't need to count. What do I need maths for? And you are, aren't you? You're such a flipping cock sometimes when you're a kid, aren't you? And I thought, no, I want to be a designer. I want to be a designer. But I was always mucking about impersonating the teachers, you know. And of course, your school friends, they love you then because you're funny and popular, and oh, do Mrs. Davis, or do Mr. Davis, or do, you know, so and so, and this, that, and the other. And I used to do a lot of them, you know. And I remember doing a school concert, and I did Mrs. Thatcher in the school concert because I had my grandmother's. I only had a handbag, just my grandmother's handbag, and I got up and did this whole thing. And most of them were playing, you know, the violin or folk songs or poetry or a choir or whatever. And I just got up with this handbag, and they all laughed, and I thought, oh God, you know. But yeah, but I didn't like school at all. I couldn't wait to leave school, and I went straight from school to technical college, and I studied drama, art, and English literature for about 2 years, and then there I met friends there, and we started going out in clubs, and then that led to the fancy dress thing and the Gladys Few, and the move to London, and the two people I moved to London with, Alison and Ewan. Alison was my first dresser, and Ewan dressed me as well on various shows. The three of us had a little bed set in Notting Hill Gate, and they went on to, Alison was head of ladies ballet at Covent Garden Opera House, and Ewan was at the Opera House as well, the men's wardrobe, and went on to various, so they sort of all did okay, and we're still friends. Three of us are still close friends.
Was it quite daunting though, taking that leap to go to London?
Yeah, but you will, if you want to do something, you'll do it, I suppose. Yeah, it was a bit sort of, I don't know, not scary. I don't know what the word is really. I mean, we just didn't think, I mean, I got to first time I went to London, it was like you're like, oh my god, I can't believe this. There's a 24-hour cafe. I mean, now they're blasé. There's 24-hour supermarkets, but then to sit having a coffee at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was like, oh my god. So I loved London. I never thought I'd leave London, but times change and decades go by, and I don't have to live in London now to be a performer, whereas I think then you sort of did, really. There was so much work in London, we 7 nights a week we did cabarets and that, but yeah. But even now I still, if I'm doing pantomime, I'll still do a cabaret after the panto if I can, some nights, and yeah, because you've got to make the money when you can these days, because I was going to say nobody knows what's around the corner, but I suppose I shouldn't say that right now with what's going on, because no one saw this one coming, but yeah,
But the costumes aren't cheap either, are they?
No, they're not. They're not. The costumes are, well, some of them can be expensive. I suppose a basic costume for me would be $7.50, $8.59, and then they got to about sort of three and a half grand. It just depends what you put on them and what you use. But people have, unless you know about fabrics and feathers and things, people don't understand how things, like I said the other day, there was a white ostrich feather trim, which is about, I don't know, about 12 or 15 inches wide, and it's £140 a metre. Well, if you put 8 metres on a costume, that's nearly a grand before you start, without anything else on it. So, I mean, you can get cheaper feathers, you can get them sort of £60 a metre. You can get them £4 a metre, but they're shocking. They look awful and cheap and terrible, and and if you're having them dyed special colours, or they're more expensive again, and if you're paying someone to do sequining and beadwork and feathering, and so I design them, which I suppose I save money by designing them. I don't have to pay a designer to design something for you. And I've got about 2 or 3 people that make for me over the years. We've got a good working relationship. So yeah, not that I need any at the moment. I've got so many in stock and things, but we just had, I think it's about 15 new made, because I thought, as I am not working now, I need to do something. So I've designed them, been going for costume fittings. I had a pantomime one made, which probably won't see the light of day this year. Costume and a hat all made, but we've been decorating them, and I had the basic thing made, and then I have some friends help decorate stuff, and so we've been busy doing that, which has taken up a lot of time, which has been good. They may not see, like I said, a stage until November, December, maybe even next blimmin' February, March. I don't know. Who knows? But we've been doing them. Yeah.
Do you ever sell them?
I have sold a few, well, I say a few, over 500 costumes over the years. I know. But I had 3 big costume sales, which I regret. Greatly, greatly regret. But at the time, you were going from one house to a flat or something, and there was a room, and you think, I haven't worn these for about 5 or 6 years, and so I did sell a lot. I regret, because I had a fabulous Boy George costume and a fabulous Marilyn Monroe and a whole set of costumes for Widow Twankey, which were fabulous, which I sold. And I sold all the shoes and I had jewellery and God knows what, and I do regret that. But I mean, I've got storage room here at home in the bottom of the garden, and it's full. if I'd had all those, I'd have to have three times that size room or storage. They'd have to go into storage. So I sort of regret that. Yeah, I've lent some on occasions, but I tend to not do that anymore because, well, without going into it all, it can be a bit of a drama.
Not looked after then, no?
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Oh
Yeah.
dear.
Yeah, I know, but that's another story. So I won't do that anymore, lend stuff. And I have given stuff away for charity if I want to sell something, a piece of jewellery or whatever. I don't mind doing that. But I don't think I'll be selling any for a while.
You said earlier about that first panto and you were asked to be in the panto. How did that come about?
We were, well, it was Cinderella in Guildford, at the Civic Hall in Guildford. And Don McLean was in it, and Bill Maynard, Diane Solomon, Anne Shelton was the fairy godmother. And the two guys playing the Ugly Sisters, one of them was taken ill. And the other guy didn't want to do it on his own because he'd worked with this guy who was his partner. And I was appearing at Madame Jojo's at the time with, and in the show was an act called Ruby Venezuela, which was a big fat guy, and he was in drag in it. And they asked us to play the Ugly Sisters, and we said, well, we can do it. It's going to be a bit of a killer because we've got a midnight show at Jojo's and a 1:30 in the morning show, and we had to do with a pantomime a 2:00 show and a 7:00. I said, we'll do it if we can agree on the money and you can get us a driver, because obviously I have to leave my face on and I am not leaving that theatre unless I'm in the back of a car with big dark glasses on and a cap. They said, yeah, that's fine. So we went and did the pantomime, but it was like, oh my God, the Ugly Sisters. The poor guy died. He was so ill. He died, which was awful. It was a bit like, oh. And then the guy playing the prince, they got rid of him. He was shocking. I forget his name. Not that I would name him anyway, because it's not fair, but he wasn't great, and they got rid of him, so you had to have a new prince came in, and it was all like, oh my God. Plus we were doing cabaret. We were rehearsing all day, then doing the cabaret. Then when the pantomime started, we were doing a 2, 7, midnight, and 1:30. So I didn't know where the hell I was. I think the pantomime ran for about 5 weeks, and it was a killer. But Paul Elliott saw me in that pantomime and said, would you play Ugly Sister next year in Wolverhampton? And I said, yeah, okay. And so, but the other guy didn't want to leave Madame Jojo's. He was quite happy there. I'd been there 2 years, and I thought, shall I, shan't I? In a way, I wished I'd stayed at Madame Jojo's, but I didn't. I left. I went and did the pantomime in Wolverhampton, and then while I was there, I got asked to do a summer season. They saw me in the pantomime and said, you know, we've asked around about you. We know that you do other shows, you do cabaret, you do this and that. We're doing this summer show at the Horseshoe Show about the Pleasure Beach, and they've got a magician in it, and Bradley Walsh. Bradley wasn't well known then, and I said yeah, and it was a great. Can you believe it opened on May the 10th and closed November the 10th? 6 nights a week, packed. One of the best summer seasons, when Blackpool was the dog's bollocks, you know. I mean, I feel so sorry for Blackpool now. I love Blackpool, but it's on its arse. It's so sad. But what can you do if people aren't going and they're going abroad? This is why, thank God, pantomime has survived. Although the runs have got shorter and shorter, it has survived. I think it survived because it's as traditional as having turkey and mince pies for many people. That's why it survived. And people tend to not go abroad at Christmas, you know. That's why. Otherwise, you know, there wouldn't be pantomime. They would have gone. Where the summer seasons and variety and musical have gone. Right, stop being depressed.
Who
Let's
taught
look
you,
on the bright side.
Who taught you then to, or who gave you influences to become the...
Well, my influences were, as a kid, Danny LaRue, Dick Emery and Stanley Baxter. But with regard to pantomime, my favourite pantomime dames, I have three. John Inman, just a joy, an absolute joy. People are surprised when I say Les Dawson because he's such a butch, but just funny, and somebody who wasn't that well known, but for me was the greatest pantomime dame, a gentleman called Freddie Lees. I saw him at the Grand Theatre Swansea. That's my first time I was taken to the theatre with my parents to pantomime, and there was a Welsh double act called Ryan and Ronnie. They split up because Ronnie had drinking problems and God knows what, and Ryan went on his own, Ryan Davis, and he was a big star in Wales, you know, and the pantomimes ran, can you believe, from Boxing Day to March the 18th. Because we used to go twice, my birthday, 29th of January, and my sister's birthday, March the 8th. And my father, because my father had done cabaret, he knew Ryan, and he went one day and he said, listen, can you give Kerry a mention? And he mentioned me, and I was like, oh my God. I was going, Dad, you know, I was young. And I just thought it was wonderful. And the dame was Freddie Lees. A lovely gentleman ran the theatre then called John Chilvers, who was such a gentleman. If you could magic up a theatre manager, how you wanted him to be and look like and behave, it was John Chilvers. He was just such a lovely man. And he always had Freddie play the dame. And he was just, I couldn't take my eyes off him, off Freddie Lees. He was just enchanting. Not fabulous costumes, but he didn't need fabulous costumes. It was just his way, and he's funny. And then Ryan died, and another comedian took over, another Welsh comic called Kenny Smiles. It was a big fat comic with a big curly perm, like Kevin Keegan, very funny. And him and Freddie Lees together were just a joy. And I used to go and watch the pantomimes and think, God, I'd love to do that one day. So he was although he's not well known, a lot of people in the business, I mean, Nigel Ellicott would know Freddie very well, you know, and Andrew Ryan and Chris Hayward, you know, pros would know Freddie Lees, just a joy. And and Les Dawson and John Inman were my three favourites. I liked Barry Howard as a dame, but sometimes he came across a little bit cold. Not cold. What's the word? There's a lovely word, I can't think of it. Aloof, you know, very grand, sort of. Mm. Whereas with John Inman, there was more warmth and pathos. Even though the costumes were... Barry Howard's gear was amazing. I'd love to have seen them play Ugly Sisters, but that was before my time.
Do you prefer them playing good or evil?
Well, everyone likes to play evil. They all say, you know, evil, I suppose. But, no, it doesn't bother me, really. I mean, I'm not a mumsy dame, but I'm a warm dame. I'm not... I'm a very glamorous dame, but not aloof, not, you know, and I will join in. I will do, you know, I mean, one minute I could be wearing £3,000 worth of gear, and the next thing I'll come on dressed and I'm wearing a goldfish bowl or something, you know. So I like that element of pantomime because you can wear what you like, you know, although it's more and more difficult these days to get because the things people like Lady Gaga are wearing, you're like, love, you know, how do you compete? But it's so difficult now to try and get, because I suppose everything's been done, everything's been worn, and you try and, you know, think of original things all the time. Think, right, what can I wear on my head? What can I be? What can I, you know, I remember I had to design, not had to, I was, you know, quite willing to do it, design the costumes for Cinderella in Birmingham a few years ago for myself and David Dale. And we had, I think we had about 14 entrances, and had to design, 28 costumes, and they had to be matching but contrasting at the same time, if you know what I mean. And what I wanted to do was, obviously I was the sort of really tall, slim, glamorous one, and David was although David is very tall, but he's bigger than me, much bigger than me. I wanted to walk on first. They'd go, and then David to get the wah, So that was difficult to do that, but it worked. It worked,
And getting the booze from the children.
The blues, yes. Well, yeah, because you've got to when you play an ugly sister, you want them to dislike you, but then you want them to hate you when you rip that ticket up, and you've got to make it believable. You cannot do that for laughs, and I get annoyed when I see it played for laughs, because it's not. It should be really upsetting. I know we all know what happens to Cinderella. We all know what happened to the Titanic. But you tell the story. You've got to tell the story. You've got to, because the children are seeing it for the first time. So that bit for me is important. But I also do like it when they make at the end. They don't always do it, but I think they should. They make the ugly sisters repent and go, "We're really sorry. We're so sorry. Please forgive us, Cinderella." And we did it last time. I did it in Cardiff last year, and I did it with a gentleman called Mike Doyle, and we did that at the end. "Oh, forgive us, Cinderella. We're really sorry." And and of course, the fairy godmother put a magic spell and has made us nice. And we did the song sheet then with the kids, and they were happy. The kids were happy to forgive all the horrible things we just done. The magic of theatre, And then at the end, we came on and they cheered us. They didn't boo us at the end, And I like that. One of my favourite pantomimes is Aladdin. I like to play Widow Twankey, because I love all the Oriental costumes. You can go anywhere with Oriental stuff. It's endless amounts of ideas, I find. Pantomime I've never done, and I hope I do, is Mother Goose. I really want to do that one day, because the story of that, don't you? Obviously, and it's great it's the dame's pantomime, and to go into that magic pool and come out glamorous, would be just like, right, you wait.
Have you started sketching yet for that?
No, I don't need to. They're all in my head. Those ideas would come to me, straight away. I'd love to do that. It's not done very often now, But they're doing like strange ones, not strange, but ones that you don't. Like Michael Harrison is doing, like Goldilocks, which they did years ago, and he's brought that back, which is great. And
Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Humpty Dumpty. There's another one that they don't do that often. Oh, Kerry. It'll come to me. It's a really old. I mean, they used to do like old King Cole and things like that. Subjects. Puss in Boots you don't see, I mean, you can't do Babes in the Wood now, because it's PC and all that. Carry on. But they don't do Mother Goose that often either, Snow White's very popular, isn't it? And Peter Pan. And everyone loves Cinderella. But, yeah.
What kind of ones were you seeing when you were a child then, with your parents?
Oh, God. Babes in the Wood. I saw Cinderella, Aladdin. Sleeping Beauty wasn't done much then. Robinson Crusoe. I like Robinson Crusoe as a pantomime. It's good for the dame, because you get to wear all those lovely sort of Edwardian sort of costumes, or Victorian, whatever it was. And then, of course, they go to the island. You can be exotic Brazilian and carnival and all that, It's good for the dame, but it's not one that's done that often these days. And they used to do things like, they used to do like Goody Two Shoes. Years ago, they do pantomimes, and it's funny, isn't it? Bizarre how things change.
Was it strange going from a predominantly adult audience through to families and especially children?
No, not really, because you just it's like doing cabaret. I mean, one night you might be in a working men's club with 250 people, and you think, right, okay, you lot, right, boom, and then the following week, then you're on a cruise ship, and you pull it back. And we've done, I've done cabarets at like these, what do you call it? Like, not retirement villages, like Warner's hotels and things, and again, you have to pull it back. And then other places, then you think, no, right, boom, you're having it. So it just depends. So pantomime is just another medium of that, And sometimes I read pantomime scripts and I think, and I'm no prude, believe me, I'm not. But sometimes I go, really? In pantomime? I don't know. Okay, fine. But it's funny, some places you get away with it, with a line, and some places you won't. We had a line we did in Birmingham, and it went down well. And then we did it at Swansea, and it didn't go down so well. It was more, ooh, it's a bit rude. Whereas in Birmingham, it was, wah. Do you know what I mean?
Do you remember the line?
Yeah, it was, it's an old line. It was, oh yeah, the Ugly Sisters leaving the ball, and it was come along, sister. My chauffeur's waiting in our new car. It's a pervertible, and he said, "Don't you mean a convertible?" And I said, "No, it's a pervertible. The roof goes up, the driver goes down," and we'd walk off. In Birmingham, and at Swansea, it was like, ooh, no, cut that. Jonathan Kiley said, "Cut that." Okay.
What are the moves like then? Have you always been a good mover?
No. Michael Harrison would say Kerry's got two moves. He glides on and he glides off. Because the choreographers, so they go mental with me, But ones I work with now and they know me, they just go... Because it's like when you're trying to block something, so you're stood there and, Alan Harding will say, right, the boys come up to you and they go, so they can't come up to me. Right, I've got a hat like that. I've got big feathers coming up there. Oh, right. So the boys go there. Well, about 3 foot away and 3 foot. So, but I can't be doing with that. I've got enough to think about without a dance routine. I'm not a dancer. I never will be. I can move. When I'm doing my cabaret, if I'm doing like Tina Turner, I can move around the stage and give it all that, flipping, we can do all that. But I take my hat off. I always have, and I always will, when I see the dancers and they're there, and within 2 days, they're on it. They've picked up a routine. I mean, I can't even do bloody step ball change. And they're flinging themselves. I'm going, Jesus, how the hell? But equally, the dancers, we had two boy dancers once, and one of them said, "Oh God, Kerry, can we try your costumes on?" I said, "No." All the way through the run, no. And then towards the end, he said, "Oh, can I just wear..." And I said, "Okay." And there was this orange and gold costume, and it had a big long feathered train on it with a cape and da-da-da-da-da. And he put it on and zipped you into it. And he couldn't walk in it. He couldn't... He said, "Kerry is a dancer, right, who can pick up a routine like that, which I cannot do." But he could not walk on. He said, "Kerry, you just walk on. How do you flip the train?" I said, "Well, you just go like that. You just flick it." He said, "But you flick it, it lands perfectly." He said, "I can't get it to..." He's go. So I said, "Well, each their own." So he couldn't walk in it. He said, "How do you walk in this with the heels, with the hat, how do you keep your balance? How do you..." I said, "Well, how do you pick up a routine in 3 hours? I can't." So I suppose everyone's does their own thing, don't they?
Is there anything more difficult to wear than other things?
Well, the headdresses are insane, because if you lose your balance, you've had it with that on your head. If you've got a heavy feathered coat on, or a train, or that's okay. It's not too bad. But when you've got the whole, if that goes, it's But I'm trying to see if there's any pictures in here for me to explain what I mean about. No, not really. Well, can you see that one there? Shall I? Sort of, the hat is like that, right? Huge hat. And what I've got is I've got a skull underneath, a skin colour skull, like a sort of crash helmet skull with a pole through it. And then the wig is stitched on over the skull and built up. You don't see the pole. And then the hats have a pole on them and they slide into the pole. So it looks as if it's balancing on the hair. Because people have said, well, your hair's like that. There's a hat that size balancing on top. I'm trying to think of a bloody picture. You think I could find one, wouldn't you? How do you do it? And I said, well, with a pole. So that's heavy. And you can't, because I hate chin straps, and because you think, they just look, or anything. I just don't want to see anything. I just want it to, God, how's that done, sort of thing. So it's difficult. You mustn't lose your balance. And then touch wood, I never have.
Have you ever missed a performance?
Never. No, I've not missed one. I've gone where I've been dying. I've had a flu or a really bad throat. I remember once doing a cabaret, and I said, look, I'm ill, I'm dying. I said, you're supposed to have say it was 2-hour show, or hour. I'll probably do 40 minutes. And doing the last number, I'd taken it all off. I was singing as myself, and my voice just went. And I was literally talking the song like that. But they appreciated that I turned up. Obviously, I can get away with it. I'm not saying, give Kerry a medal because he's never missed a show, because I know some people do, because you can't be... if you're playing Dolly Levi and your voice goes, you've had it. Because you're Dolly Levi, whereas me, I can go, right, cut Shirley Bassey, do Bette Davis, because she talks down there, and do Mylena, or whatever, and take out Nana Muscuri, hello, so I can get away with it. So that's got a lot to do with it, why I've, and you can always pull, if you're doing a pantomime, you can always pull it back a little bit to save your voice, rather than going, tear it up, just, bring it back. So you can do that with comedy. It's not like you're doing a serious singing part. If it was like, playing Norma Desmond or something, you carry the whole show and you can't sing, what are you going to do? You've had it. Or Shirley Bassey's voice goes. She can't just go, well, I'll just talk through Goldfinger. They'll be going, no. Do those key changes, otherwise you want our money back. So, guess I'm lucky in that respect.
How do you look after the voice?
I don't really. I don't. I mean, I don't think I'm not a great singer. I get away with it, I'm not an awful singer. I mean, I can put a song over. As my sister says, he gets away with it. But I'm not a singer, it's like, when we do pantomime with Joe Pasquale, and he's the same as me, and the MD's going, right, we love so-and-so harmony, and so-and-so harmony, and then da-da-da-da harmony there, and then let me hear you now, Joe, with your, oh, and Kerry, can you come with them? And the two of us going... And then we're like that then, and then, and they're doing all these harmonies, and Joe and I going, because I'm not a singer, and neither is he.
The physicality for the routines as well. Who did you kind of use for your inspirations for those?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose. Again, Freddie Lee's I always thought was great with the way he walked on stage and the way he stood there and his moves and everything. I suppose I influenced a lot by him. Danny LaRue, a lot of influence from him.
He was a good friend, wasn't he?
Yeah, I knew Dan well. I mean, he stayed here for 8 weeks with us once, which... was a joy, it really was.
Champagne on tap?
Yes, he drank every day. Not day, night, I should say, in fairness to him. I mean, I suppose he was, if I was to pick one idol, I suppose he probably would be Dan. Although I did love Dick Emery and Stanley Baxter. But I suppose, and then, because he stayed here, it's a bit like whoever your idol was, you know, I mean, and you say, oh, they're coming to stay. I mean, I'd met Dan on various shows and events and parties and clubs and things. And then when he was coming to Cardiff, I thought, oh, well, shall I? So I rang him up and I said, look, have you sorted digs out yet? No. I said, well, there's plenty of room if you and Annie want to come and stay. And he said, that'd be marvellous, love, marvellous. So he did. And I suppose when you sit with somebody and there's just two of you, you know, and it was like Christmas Eve, it was just myself and him. Annie'd gone home to sort out her cats. And I came in, I don't know where I'd been. I came in about 10 o'clock. And then Dan arrived about 10:30. And he said, do you want to watch some television? And I said, yeah. And I think Parkinson was on and Barbara Windsor was on it, you know. And he said, she's one of my dear friends, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she'd sent him a hamper from Fortnum's, and he said, oh, should we open it? So we did. And we had champagne, and it was downstairs lounge here watching the telly. And he was getting pissed, and I was getting pissed. And I just thought, my God, it's Christmas Eve, and I sat here with this man I've admired his work for years. And it got to gone midnight, and he just turned to me and he said, Merry Christmas, lad. I said, well, Merry Christmas to you too, Dan. And he said, I am pissed. And I said, well, I am as well. You'd have to help me up the stairs, lad. So I was helping him up the stairs to his room, and he turned, he said to me, you're a very talented young man. And I said, you're pissed. I know, but you're still a very talented young man. Thank you. And he said, who'd have believed it, he said. Danny LaRue and Kerry Dupree, Christmas Eve. Did you notice I gave myself top billing? I said, yes, I did notice that. And he said to me, good night, love, God bless, Merry Christmas. And he went off to bed, and I went off to bed, and I just thought, my God, you know, that is, for me, it was just a joy. Because he could be very grand, and he could be very this, and he could be very that. But he was a joy, and he was a pro, and he loved the business, and I loved him, and it was great, you know. And I'll never forget that Christmas Eve. It was great. But there you go.
What dames do you see who you think are up and coming in the ranks?
Oh, no, that's a good question. I don't know, is my honest opinion, because I haven't seen anybody for the last 10 years or more in pantomime. You know, I mean, obviously I know of Chris Hayward, and it was fantastic, his costumes and everything are just a joy every year. He manages to top himself in the nicest possible way, and he does. God, that is a very good question, which I can't answer. I mean, where are all the up and coming young dames? Are there that many? Can you name any?
There's a couple I can think.
Go on, see if I know them.
So
he said, asking for information.
Jamie Jones.
Yeah,
You've got.
Yeah. No, he loves it, doesn't he? Yeah, Jamie.
Jamie Riding.
No, don't know Jamie Riding.
I'll have to cut that bit out, because if he hears you say I've never heard of Jamie Riding, he'll be beside himself.
Will he?
Oh
God, wait a minute.
David Dale.
I do know Jamie Riding from Bournemouth.
Yes.
Oh yeah, he's lovely. No, I know. Yeah, he's like that. Little turned up nose, and yeah. No, I know him. He came to see me in Pantomime in Cardiff, and he's seen me in Cabaret in Bournemouth. Of course I know him, yes. Jamie Riding. Yeah, you're right. Jamie Riding and Jamie Jones.
There you go, Jamie.
There we go. The two Jamies. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. No. There's a guy I know he hasn't done it for years. Rodney Howard, a great Dame, but he hasn't done it for a long time. Don't know why. I think he should. His Dame is great. I can't think of any others young and up and coming, really. I suppose, is it a dying art? I don't know. A lot of pantomimes now don't bother to have a dame in them. You know,
they're not proper pantomimes.
Well, no, I don't think they are proper pantomimes. You know, I mean, I don't even mind seeing a principal boy played by a woman, a girl. That doesn't bother me. You know, it was always like that years ago. Always was. You know, Prince Charming and Dandini were always girls, and the Ugly Sisters were always fellas, and the Dame was always played by a fella. Occasionally it works if it's played by a woman, but it's got to be a certain type of a woman to get away with it. You know, I think Molly Sugden got away with it at the Palladium when she played Dame. I didn't like Georgia Mildred, Eutha Joyce, and Brian Murphy did it at the Palladium, and no, because no attempt at characterization whatsoever. He had still had his moustache. No, didn't do it for me, I'm afraid. It's like Fairy Godmother played by a man. Doesn't always work. It works if it's in the hands of Patrick Fife, who is just a character actor. You forget it's a man. It's an eccentric old lady. It works, you know. I didn't like Dan playing Fairy Godmother, to be honest. You know, I preferred him as the Baroness or something, you know. But you know, I'm not casting all the shows, so it's only my personal opinion. But you see, I didn't think it would work with Gok Wan playing the Fairy Godmother, but it did. I said no, it won't work, but I eat my words. It did work. It was great. You know, you didn't think for 1 minute, but I suppose that's because of Gok's personality. I suppose, you know, the whole Gok Wan thing. That's why it worked. Yeah, but some pantomimes don't have a dame.
Has there been anybody you've been really excited to work with?
That I have or haven't?
That you have worked with, but the lead up to that, when you find out you're signed up for wherever.
No, not really. I mean, mentioning Gok Wan again, you know, I didn't think we'd get on. You know, and I don't think many of the management thought we'd get on either. I think they thought there'd be fireworks, and it was completely the other way.
Why would you think that?
Well, I suppose people think, oh, you know, Gok Wan likes to be the centre of attention, Kerry likes to be the centre. You know, they just think big personalities will clash and they won't get on, and sometimes, you know, it's the other way round, and it was the other way around. We got on really, really well, you know. So, yeah.
Anybody you wish you'd worked with? Or would still like to work with?
Well, there was once something that nearly came off but didn't, and it never will now because she's dead. Was, would you believe they were going to do pantomime in Los Angeles, Cinderella, and I was asked to play one of the Ugly Sisters, and the Fairy Godmother was going to be Zsa Zsa Gabor.
Goodness me. And
I thought I'd have paid my own flight for that. And it all got talked about, and it was going to be amazing, and it was going to be, you know, and it was all, will the Americans understand it? I said, well, they'll know the story of Cinderella. They might not get all the pantomime gags and tradition and everything, you know, but I said, who cares? It's California, it's Zsa Zsa Gabor. Hello. That, of course. It all fizzled out, which would have been fantastic, you know, but that was a shame. Who would I like to work with? Don't know.
Who's on the circuit now?
I mean, I'd like to do a pantomime with Joan Collins when she did Birmingham. I'd like to have done something there. But of course, the cast was rammed. You know, it was Julian Clary and Joan and Keith Harris and Orville, and it was a flipping hell, you know. But I'd like to just to say I'd worked with her, you know. That no, not really. There's nobody that springs to mind at the moment that I'd like to appear with, you know. I mean, like I said, I did 7 or 8 pantomimes with Joe Pasquale, and I don't know whether it'll get any better than that, because him and I got on very well on stage and off. So, yeah. But who knows what's around the corner? Who knows what who they'll put you with? But Kudos are very good. Well, Michael Harrison in particular is very good at putting you with. They don't just pick them up and go, you go there, you go there, you go there. They think about, hang on a minute now, will Kerry work with so-and-so? Or, no, I don't think he'll. No, I don't think, no. We put him with Bon and then so-and-so. Pretty good with stuff like that, you know.
Have you ever had an unenjoyable pantomime experience?
I didn't enjoy, and it wasn't the cast. I don't know what it was. Southampton. The season there, we did Aladdin with Joe Pasquale and Duncan James. It was lovely, absolutely lovely, and great cast and everything. And I don't know what it was, whether it was the theatre. There just didn't seem to be an atmosphere. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but you know, we didn't have great digs, so we had problems there, and there weren't any problems with the show. But I don't know. Southampton, I just didn't find a great time. And then I think the following year, we were told we were going to go to Dartford, and I thought, oh, great, and had an absolute ball. Loved it. Loved the theatre staff, our digs, the landlady who stayed with the digs, Val, still in touch with her, looked like Eutha Joyce actually. Cockney lady, so funny. We had a great time. So you can never tell. You can never tell. Same as every show you do. You know, the worst thing to do is go to a venue and get cocky, and you know, sometimes my dressers have said, oh, it's brilliant audience, brilliant. Oh, they're going to love you. Oh, they're up for it. And you go, yeah, we'll see. And you walk out and you go, oh, brilliant. Another night then you say, oh my God, oh, they're funny crowd. They're pissed already. Or da-da-da-da-da. And you go out and you have an absolute stonker of a night, you know. You can never tell.
Do you get nervous before a performance?
No, I don't get nervous about going on stage. I don't understand people that get in such a state that they're throwing up before they go on, and they no, I don't understand that. I get a bit concerned about, I hope the show goes well, and I hope that the costume changes are okay, and obviously the lighting and the sound and this, that, and the other. But no, I don't get nervous about actually going on the stage. No, not at all.
What about going back to the 80s when you went to London? Was that nerve-wracking? Things like Vauxhall Tavern and places like that, were they nerve-wracking?
Oh yeah, your whole day would be you know, sort of worrying about, oh my God, it was all right, you know, because of course it wasn't that experienced then, you know. It was early days for me, you know. I was going out and thinking, oh well, you know, will this song be all right? Will that gag go okay? You know, just because it worked last night or worked at a club in Earl's Court, it might not work in a club down in the East End, you know. And you go from venue to venue and venue, and God, yeah, absolutely died a death in clubs and venues. But that's how you learn. And any performer that says they've never had a bad night is a liar. You know, because everybody has struggles. You know, when you you do these corporate do's and you think, oh, this is great, the money's good, and you walk out, they're rasped because they've had a free bar, and you stood there dressed as Cher, and you think, this could be the real Cher. You wouldn't know. You are so pissed that you would not know. You know, and I've done those events, and I know loads of performers have done them, because you think, well, they're paying you X amount to do 45 minutes. I mean, I remember going to, they flew me to the Seychelles to do 2 shows. I was there for 5 days. Arabs, they'd flown in from New York, private planes, da 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 da. What they didn't have as entertainment was nobody's business. I was just a little tiny cog in the machine. 2 20-minute shows, that's all they wanted. 5 days. I was there 5 days. First class, flown, da 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 da, this, that, the other. And I did my first show, 20 minutes. Fine, went okay. Didn't go brilliantly, didn't go badly. Just, clap, clap, clap. How long ago it was, I was doing Pamela Anderson. The Baywatchers thing. Waited 3 days. My second show then, they decided they didn't want it. I said, oh, why is that? Oh, they just haven't got time now. There's too much going on. So I had like $5,000, flown first class. I did 20 minutes in the Seychelles. Now those gigs we like. But, they were counting things like they'd flown in actors and actresses from the UK because they wanted to do a tea party, a Victorian tea party. So they were all in their black and white, like Downton Abbey sort of gear. All the china, everything, cucumber sandwiches, the whole lot. And he wanted it out. When I say raft, this was no raft. Out at sea, okay? He wanted to have a Victorian tea party on the sea. This cost thousands, okay? Half an hour before, he went, nah, don't want to do that. Cancelled it. They all got paid. They all stayed. We were all in the bar in the night getting rat-arsed. All these actors and actresses, they didn't do anything. They came, put their makeup on, put their outfits on, and he cancelled it like that. Don't do that. Money like you couldn't believe. I've gone right off the subject. I forgot what the question was. Flipping hell. Yeah, sorry. Go on. Let me just have a little sip of this.
Go for it.
Okay.
We were just talking about the nerves, weren't we?
Oh, nerves, yeah. No, so I don't get nervous, The thing that worries me is getting more work these days. Worrying about where the work comes from, and I've been so stressed the last 5 months or so. So stressed with because you just worry about you think, well, I've earned naught for the last 4 weeks, and you think, right, I'm going into savings now, and you think, well, the savings will only last so long. What do you do then? And I've just got myself in the right state through it all,
Things are starting to pick up a little bit, though, aren't they?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. Too slow, in my opinion. Speaking as an entertainer, I'm talking about the entertainment side of things. I could spend the next hour kicking off, waffling on about aeroplane journeys and pubs and this, that, the other, but I can't. I'm not getting myself any more worked up, because all I will be doing is telling people in the business what they and we already know, and I don't want to get political, because this will just turn into I think it's Cleo Lane. It'll be beep 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 beep. So
it's going to come back stronger. It's got to.
Well, it's got to. It's got to. I mean, I hope that. I hope it does. I suppose it's the slow trickle towards it that's upsetting me as well. I would rather be, and you might think I'm being a bit nutty saying this, but I would rather be in complete and utter lockdown or back to normal. This in-between stuff, oh my God. Nobody knows what the hell they are allowed to do, they can't do, where they can go, where they can't go. It's a joke. I mean, I was listening to Radio 2 the other day, Vanessa Feltz, and I think she's great, she is, and she was trying to get people to understand, and she said, I'm an intelligent woman. She said, I've been to university. She said, I'm a presenter, and I'm sorry, I do not understand what I can do, what I can't do, where I can do and who I can do it with, and who's in my bubble, who's not in my bubble, and 6 people here and 6, and you think, it's like, it's insane. Insane. You can go in Manchester, you can go to a pub and then sit in the pub, you can sit outside the pub, you can go to a supermarket, and you can go to a restaurant, but you can't sit in your Auntie Patricia's conservatory, otherwise you'll catch her. Bollocks.
What were you doing during lockdown?
Watching flipping Netflix, designing costumes, drinking too much, and eating too much. I've got a stone and a half on. A stone and a half. But I guess everybody has been drinking, and when we had the nice weather, you'd sit in the garden, you'd drink. I mean, I've been, catching up with lots of friends. I mean, I've been up to London, and I've been to Bournemouth, and I've been up to Leicester, and I've been travelling around, went to Blackpool, Manchester, and visiting people and this, that, the other. And some people are afraid to open their front door, or even to, pass somebody a mug.
Where did the name Kerry Dupree come from then?
It was literally pulled out of a tin. I was, maybe 17, 18. And I wanted to give myself a stage name. I just didn't want to be Kerry Jones. So we wrote all these sort of exotic names down, put them in a tin, like a biscuit tin or a Quality Street tin, whatever it was. Give it a little shake up. First one out was Tinsel. I said, I'm not calling myself Kerry Tinsel. Right, next one, Duval. And I said, right, Duval, you wrote that, I said to my friend, because we'd seen Pantomime at the Grand in Swansea, and there was a magic act on called The Great Duval. And whose doves never came back to him. It was funny. I said, no, Kerry Duval, no. Next one, third one out, Dupree, Kerry Dupree. No, not calling myself Kerry Dupree. No, forget it. No. Lid back on tin. A few weeks later, I'm at a party, and it was in this great big house, a great big Gothic sort of stately home party, and there's a massive staircase. And I went to the loo, and I came down the staircase, and I was pissing about, walking down the staircase like a blimmin' Las Vegas showgirl, and this guy says to me, do you think you are? Sort of thing. I said, I'm Kerry Dupree. It just came to me, and my friend said, you remembered the name Dupree? You must have liked it. I said, I don't like it. He said, why did you say Kerry Dupree? I wasn't thinking. Well, good. Call yourself Kerry Dupree. I said, we'll see. So I had this show coming up. I remember it, September the 9th, 1983, the show, at the Palace Club, old Palace Theatre, which turned into a nightclub in Swansea. And I said, right, put Kerry Dupree. And then, there we go.
The rest is history.
As they say. So, yeah.
Do you ever suffer with the Panto Blues once it's finished?
No. I would like for it to last longer. I wish all pantomimes lasted longer. I wish they ran until March, like they used to. But no, I'm very sort of pragmatic, and I go, right. And I don't do any of this, lovely working with you, darling, keep in touch, and da-da-da-da. No, because I know it's 95% that's bollocks. So I'm just like, pack, come on. Yeah. I'm not naff, I'm not horrible. I give everyone kisses and goodbye and all that, but all this, exchanging numbers and you go, yeah, right, whatever.
You're realistic.
I am. On to the next gig, on to the next part of life, There's very few people that I've kept in touch with, but it's saying that, I am in touch now with 2 dancers I worked with in summer season in 1991 in Blackpool, still in touch with them. You either have this thing or not, and a lovely actress I keep in touch with, Jodie Jackson, she used to do loads, did the Rocky Horror Show with her years ago, and we just hit it off. She's up there somewhere, Jodie. There's Jodie in the white bra there, and she now lives in Hull, but we're in touch. She's lovely. You either have a connection, but that can be with many things in life. People, and you can meet hundreds of people after a show and be chatting away to a party. And one lady from Birmingham, I'm in touch with her, a fan of mine, and just become friends because you see so many shows and you just hit it off. There's something, and nobody knows what that is. You just guess you get on with people, or you don't get on with people, But no, I don't get the Panto Blues. I get the sort of, I've enjoyed this. Wish it could go on a bit longer. But, I've seen some people crying, crying. Oh my God. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Well, yeah, believe it.
You mentioned earlier on about the Mother Goose that you'd love to play, and that you've got the costumes in your head.
Yes.
Any other sort of things that you'd like to do?
Yes.
And would you give us a little insight into what's going on in that
head
of yours?
I would love to do a play. Or maybe play's not the right word. About the life of Danny LaRue. We've got the title. Don't Miss LaRue would be the title, and I would like it to be probably just 3 people in it. Someone playing Dan towards the end of his life, and Dan did put a bit of weight on, and he reminded me of a lot of sort of Edward Heath, quite portly, but that lovely white head of hair Dan had, and gorgeous, still at that age, gorgeous skin, and that, and then Annie, who was Dan's assistant, / lifesaver, for nearly 30 odd years. Somebody play Annie, and then somebody to play Dan in his heyday in the 70s and 80s in costume and makeup for flashbacks. Who would play that? I just don't know. But, so I'd like to do that. That's something I'd like to do. One day I would like to do the musical La Cage aux Folles and play Zaza, but I want to do that when I'm much older, because I think that's something I can play when I'm about 68, 70, because the whole thing with Zaza, I think, is that he was, in his heyday, a fabulous female impersonator and looked the bollocks. But now he's much older. He still looks good, but he doesn't look like he never will. And that's where I think you get a lot of the pathos, and it becomes quite poignant when you do the ultimate, I am what I am, which should be called I'm not what I was. So I'd like to do that one day. And up here in Las Vegas, I'd like to do Las Vegas. Those are the 3 biggies for me I'd like to do. Whether all 3 are attainable, I don't know. Are you writing your memoirs yet? No, I would like to write a book, but I don't know. I'm not a bloody superstar. I'm not like household name or anything, but I think I'll probably sell a few copies. No, probably something I do when I'm a bit older, when I'm sort of, 60 or something. I'll start writing it. I've got the title.
What would the title be?
My Balls Are Killing Me. And I've got the front cover as well. It's a picture of a little boy in the 50s, black and white, and he's about 5 years of age, and he's out the back garden dressed up in his mother's high heels. So that's the cover and the title, yeah. And the title, is My Balls Are Killing Me, is years ago I was doing The Wizard of Oz. That one there, yeah. And I played the witch, the Wicked Witch. But I had to be, in the beginning, I had to be Miss Gulch, on the I'll get you and your little dog on the bike. And sometimes we had, for the kids, 10 o'clock shows in the morning, and then a 2 o'clock, and then a 7 o'clock. And I had to quick change out of Miss Gulch into the Wicked Witch. But I was playing a very glamorous Wicked Witch with very elaborate makeup. And the opening I came on a bike, Harley Davidson. I was all in like biker gear, and as the witch, rather than a broom, you do this, then on would come the bike. And I had to get all this gear on, it's skin tight. So I had to be tucked away in my jock strap and everything. But I had to wear it all, parts of it underneath my sculch. I had to get in this bike with a jock strap on, hello. And I'm sat in the wings, ready to go on for the 10 o'clock show. And Deborah, my dresser, are you all right? Are you okay? I said, oh, my balls are killing me. And she said, well, I've got a long day ahead. I said, I know. So that's what I would, the title would be.
Did you put on then little shows when you were a little boy?
Oh yes, boring, isn't it? Yeah, I did.
Not at all.
I did, but I was, you'll laugh now when I say this, I was very shy as a kid. And although I say I put little shows on, I used to make like puppets and things. And they would be the show, it wasn't me. And I guess I've always been like that. Always hide behind characters. So I'm not me. And I get very nervous being me. Get very, a couple of weeks ago I did a thing, like a Q&A thing on Facebook, Zoom. I was in the right state all day. Right state. Yeah, I had to have a couple of glasses of wine before I know it was just for an hour, people asking me questions and that, But because I knew I was going on film and being seen and as myself, and I wasn't hiding behind any characters, I was really, really nervous about it, But whereas when you're hiding behind character, or an impersonation or something, or you're wearing, and it could be a suit of armour, not necessarily, glamorous limb drag or anything like that. Any character, you're not being you. And I suppose I was like that as a child. I did my show for years without coming on as myself at the end. I'd stay in costume. I think it's only in the last 20 odd years that I've been taking it all off and coming on in a suit or a shirt and trousers or whatever, It took me ages to do that,
Well, thank you for letting me interview you as you.
Well,
and being so open.
It's okay. It's all right. Thank you very much for travelling all this way down to Wales to see us, and of course, Mr. Wyn Calvin. And next time, don't forget to get Ruth Maddock.
What would be your advice to young, upcoming, not only dames, but female impersonators?
Oh, well, I suppose female impersonators is to pick a good name. Don't pick a silly name, because if you have a silly name, you won't. If you call yourself Tammy Tampax or something so stupid or vulgar or crass, it's not going to get you a gig at the Savoy, okay, or a corporate do, or a club in Mayfair, or because it's just not going to happen. So silly names are silly. And I don't know. That's really the only advice I can give. And try not to be too crude, because some of them come on and it's immediately the F word, the C word, the whole thing. You don't have to do that to be funny. You do not. Victoria Wood never did that and was hysterical. Ken Dodd, clever. You can be very rude, as my show can be very rude, but I don't swear. I don't say anything. You let the audience think for you. That's funnier. Then there's somewhere to go. Whereas if you come on and it's like, oh, I was walking down the Effin Road and I saw this big C and I where are you going to go after that? There's nowhere to go.
How much time do you spend writing?
It depends. Some stuff will come straight away. You can write a parody. I used to have a great guy who used to write for me. Well, I didn't pay him. Paul Raymond paid him, thank God. Called Brian Blackburn, who wrote for various people, Cannonball, Danny LaRue, Jim Davidson. He wrote lots of pantomimes and everything. He was great, clever writer. Wrote me parodies to Anita. I did Anita Dobson, when she used to be Angie in EastEnders, and he wrote me a great parody to Begin the Begin, and it was when I begin with a gin. And he wrote a great thing for Madonna, like a Virgin. And when I did Joan Collins, he wrote Diamonds Were Girls' Best Friend, Dynasty Was My Best Friend. He wrote a parody to that, which you could still do now. You just tweak it a little bit. But I do write a lot of my own parodies. I'm always looking for gags. Sometimes you see a gag on Facebook or YouTube, or or I buy these books. You have these books and you go 1,000 funny jokes, and you go through it. You might get 2 that will work. Others are like, and then you've got, now that's funny, And it's different levels of jokes for wherever you're working. Some jokes are very near the knuckle, which you wouldn't do in certain places, and others, then you think that audience won't laugh at that. They will not laugh at it, whereas this audience will find that shocking. You might do one venue and the joke might need you to say the word shit. Okay, well, you can say that in one venue. In the next venue, you better not say shit, I'll say cowpat, because they want to be offended. And the other one, you say, even cowpat, you better say poo. So knowing your audience, again, I think is important. Up and coming dames, I don't know, just, I suppose, go out and look at the ones that are doing it now, and also don't forget to hark back to the greats, your John Inmans and your Barry Howards, and Freddie Lees, if you can find any footage on him. I doubt it. Les Dawson, that were great dames, and just look. But it's tough.
Well, this leads me on to my last question.
Yeah.
Your dream pantomime. So you can be in it.
Yeah.
You can be in the stalls watching it. You choose the production, the theatre, and your cast can be alive or dead, or a mixture of both.
Oh. Okay. It would be a toss-up between Swansea Grand Theatre or the New Theatre Cardiff. I can't pick one. Do I have to?
No, you can do it at both.
It would be either of those venues. It would be Mother Goose. Ruth Maddock would be the fairy in it. My sister would be it's supposed to be a wicked squire, but you could have a wicked baroness, or an evil fairy. Joe Pasquale would be Billy Goose. And Duncan James would be, Colin, the love interest. And I don't know who I'd cast as Jill. Whether it would be, wouldn't necessarily have to be Welsh, because neither is Joe or Duncan. I don't know. Somebody like Jodie Jackson, I suppose. Although Jodie said, I'm too old. Well, that would be a dream pantomime for me, because I've worked with all those people before, so I know that it would be great, and do I choose the director as well?
Yeah, you can choose director. You can direct it yourself if you want.
No, I would never want to direct myself. I wouldn't mind directing a show, but I wouldn't want to be in the show and direct it. That would freak me out. I wouldn't want to do that. I suppose Michael Harrison, because he gets me. And choreographer, I don't know. I do like Alan Hardin. Yeah. Who would work backstage on the costumes? Costume supervisor? I don't know. Too many to choose from. Yeah, that would be it.
Well, Kerry, thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
part.
Thank you very much.